Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of videos about games and the people who played them. And now, here are your hosts, Tom and Holly Vasel.
Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm the new host for my dad, because he's no good at all.
Welcome to the Dice Tower. Alright, in this episode, it's our party show. Alright, well, really, with the season that's been upon us, there's been a lot of parties going on. New Year's Eve party, a Christmas party, and just recently, Holly's birthday party. This is our Vasel traditional birthday hat that you wear on your birthday. And different parties come up, and when I go to one of these events, I usually will come across people who don't play board games for most of the year, but this is one time that they will. Every New Year's Eve, I have an opportunity to play board games, and, you know, this New Year's was no exception. I got lots of people to play board games. In fact, I ran a very large Wits and Wagers game with a lot of folks, and everybody had a lot of fun with that. But let me show you the games that I took with me to this recent party. Now, there's more games than even that, but that's just some of the games that I took with me. And I want to give you basically a little reasoning behind why I took the games that I did and what games I take along. I basically have a system. When I have my board game clubs at school, when I have my board game events on the military bases, I just basically pick whatever games I feel like playing that day and ones that I think people will like. But when I go to a party, I have a completely different feeling. One of the things I do, of course, and this is guaranteed, is I bring party games. Now, I always bring games like Thingamajig, because this is a game that's very simple to explain and yet fits a wide audience. That would also include Apples to Apples and the perennial favorite, Time's Up. Now, Time's Up is a very entertaining and fun party game. This is traditionally, at least at my church, always played on New Year's Eve because it's so much fun, and by the time New Year's comes, everyone's laughing. They're tired, but they're laughing. More Apples to Apples. Junior Squint. Again, I want to let everyone have a chance to play the party games. And here's the original Time's Up. I also like the size of these. They're easy to transport. Speaking of transport, how do I carry everything around? Well, usually I use plastic bins. Now, this is a clear plastic bin, which is okay. I don't really like the size of this. Instead, I like using these much larger Rubbermaid bins. These fit the square boxes pretty well, and they're very easy to carry around. This one right now is full of all my Carabande stuff. And speaking of that, that's another thing I bring to almost every party, is Pitch Car. And Pitch Car is one of those games in which you can play up to 16 people at one time, and at a party, a large event, you set it up, there's going to be people playing it and having lots of fun. Still in the party game mode. Here's Squint. I already showed you Squint Jr. Then I bring Smarty Party. It's hard to explain, but there are some people for whom Time's Up is too silly. Smarty Party is not a silly party game. It's a fun one, but it's not silly. And you have to realize that there's going to be some people at your party who are not silly, perhaps, and you need to make sure you bring something for them. And then there's people who like word games, so I usually try to bring something, and this is a fun one, Pass the Bomb. I'll admit, I think the game is okay, but any game that comes with a ticking bomb right there, I'm not going to get rid of this game for a long time. Lots of fun, and I'll talk more about this game in the future. I bring a party game that usually try to bring at least one party game that people have heard of. Now, you may think, and I may think, that everyone's heard of Apples and Time's Up, but most people have heard of Taboo, so I try to bring along one of those party games. Again, more games for people who like words. Here's You've Been Sentenced. This one has found out works really well. Then this is an odd one to bring, but I almost always bring it, and that's Sports Illustrated Don't Quote Me. I bring this for a couple reasons. One, it's a more serious party game, but also there's invariably guys who are sitting at New Year's Eve wishing they could watch sports games. Here they are, having to play board games, and lo and behold, I bring one that's hopefully up their alleys with sports trivia. And this is a pretty decent one. What Were You Thinking? This is an older, harder game to get a hold of, but this one sometimes comes out closer to midnight. And then the games for the silly people. Cluzzle and Hit or Miss. And then one that we find hilarious sometimes, Compatibility, where you each have a pile of pictures and you're trying to match your partner's picture. So I have all that. But that's not all I bring, not just party games, because you never know who might be at it. Now there's a couple games that I'll bring, and I don't have any here right now, that I bring for the gamers. Because occasionally there are some gamers at these places, and they get a little frantic because as fun as party games are, they're itching to play something meatier. So for this last one I brought Battlestar Galactica, and that kept the gamers happy. They played that while everyone else played party games. But also, some people may want to play a fun game. Sometimes people play games that basically they want to play a fun game, but not necessarily a party game, and so I bring in my lighter, fluffier games that can play a whole lot of different people. One of those is Jamaica, a racing game, very easy to teach, very easy to play. Another one right along the same lines is Key Largo, about diving for treasure, something that most people will easily understand and a lot of fun for a larger group. And then, I never go to any outing without this usually, Ticket to Ride. My box is all beat up and weathered a lot of storms. This is a early prototype copy, so you can actually see Pirates Cove peeking out from underneath. But still, this game has lasted several years and keeps being played. Just a tremendously fun game, Pirates Cove. And then I bring a few other games for, just people or those types of moods that hit. I bring David and Goliath because there's people who like trick-taking games. And David and Goliath is an excellent one and goes up to 6 players. I bring along this game, Gift Trap. Now this actually is a party game, but interestingly enough, this is one of the best games I've ever seen to draw people in who normally won't play any game at all. They look at it looks interesting, and when they open it up and they find that the game is about what gifts to give other people, well, that sounds simple. Everyone likes giving gifts, or at least everyone likes receiving gifts, so Gift Trap. What else do I bring? Ingenious. Here's a game that's kind of like an abstract, simple logic game. And there's going to be people there who like to play chess, or Go, or checkers, or something along those lines. And so I bring Ingenious for them. Pandemic, I bring. It's a simple, fun, cooperative game. And if you have what I call budding gamers, people looking for something new, then Pandemic's what I bring for them. Sorry, I bring some dexterity games. I already mentioned Pitch Car, but here's Sorry Sliders. Simple sliding game, and this is one of those games that's almost invariably going to be pulled out by someone. It also helps keep the kids having a good time. And then these games I call, sort of party games, where I have here Yahtzee Free for All. People know what Yahtzee is, and this is an easy variant for them to learn. I got one of my favorite games I play all the time now, Get Bit, where you have these robots who are escaping a shark who's coming to bite them, and hilarious. Gets played pretty much every time. In fact, this past New Year's, this was one of the games to get played. And then Quandary. This is my old version of Quandary. Nowadays, there's a smaller card game called Loco, but I like this one because it has such chunky tiles in it, and that makes the game much more fun. All right. Thanks for the show there. And I got a few other games here. Cineplexity, Visualize, Captain Clueless. I bring along, this game here is... oh man, I don't even know. I better open it up and look and see what the game is called, because my mind has just gone blank. It's The Big Idea from Chia Pass Games, in which you try to sell things. And so you look at all these games and you say, man, you are loaded. Well, maybe 10, 15% of these games get played. Not a whole lot of these games get played, but it's still, I don't care. What I try to do is be prepared for all situations. I don't think you'll be able to bring this many games to your gathering. But I do suggest that you bring games that try to take into account the wide scope of people who may or may not be there. Well, that's all we have for this time. I'm back. Hopefully my voice is still wavering, but I'm back. Listen to the audio, Dice Tower. We got some great interviews on there. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this is my very strange co-host, Holly. We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.